Pelicans on the Bayou, a typical restaurant in the small Louisiana town of New Iberia. This region is famous for its Creole and Cajun food, and for head chef AJ, there's one ingredient he just can't do without.
We're doing a chicken and sausage gumbo today, and we have the pieces of chicken breast, and then we're doing our smoked sausage, topped off with the Tabasco. You can never overdo it. A little bit more on that. We like it. Our customers like it. If they didn't, it wouldn't have been around for 100 years. This is my kitchen.
Customers can't get enough of that hot, spicy taste, and the food is flying out of AJ's kitchen. The secret to the red sauce's fiery flavour is buried here. Surrounded by the Louisiana Bayou, Avery Island sits on top of a massive underground salt dome said to be the size of Mount Everest. The ancient rock salt deposit was laid down millions of years ago and supplies every grain they need to make their sauce. It wasn't until the 1860s that Edmund McElhenney introduced the other key ingredient, chili peppers. For 5 generations, the McElhenney family have carefully tended the island's pepper plants. The peppers are only picked when their colour matches the red of these little wooden dowels, known as les petits bâtons rouges, a technique that has been passed down the generations. And they're still using Edmund McElhenney's original recipe. Here in the company archives, they keep Edmund's notebook with his list of ingredients.
This is the older recipe?
Yeah. Each gallon of ripe peppers, add 1 coffee cupful of salt, then mash thoroughly.
Only the scale of production has changed. These days, the harvested pepper crop arrives as a ready salted ruby red pulp. Each new delivery fills 100 of these oak barrels. But you can't just use any old barrel if you want your spicy sauce to achieve perfect piquancy. To get the perfect balance of flavour, the mash has to ferment in vintage bourbon barrels for 3 years. The trouble with these old-timers is that sometimes they arrive a little worse for wear. Hamilton Polk has been fixing them up with new stoppers and wax seals for over 40 years.
What I'm about to do is change this bung, and then I'm going to put a new cloth, and I'm going to put wax just to seal it up.
Once he's patched the barrels back up, he puts a little water on top to swell up the boards and then sets them aside to wait for the next crop to arrive. They've got so much salt here, they even use it to seal the barrels before the mash begins its slow fermentation. Fast forward 3 years, and it's the moment of truth. With the salt chipped away, the seal is broken, and Hamilton prepares for the all-important taste test.
That smells real good. Tastes good, too.
Tasty, but that mash isn't fit for the table. So it's taken to the main factory building for processing. The fiery red sludge is pumped from the barrels using an industrial vacuum cleaner into these huge sieves. The refined mixture is salty and spicy, but it still hasn't got the Tabasco taste. It needs a touch of sour. The third and final key ingredient is distilled white wine vinegar, stored in these 5,000-litre vats. It's added to the mix in this battery of 7,000-litre oak mixing bowls. A precise quantity of vinegar is carefully programmed into the pump system and added to the mash. Then the mix is stirred for 28 days. When it comes to table sauces, consistency is everything. Food scientist Pamela Bish carefully checks each batch to make sure it's just as good as the 1,000 that came before.
What I'm doing is the first sample of 5. This machine right here will tell me how thick the sauce is.
It's got to be thick enough with just the right level of acidity. Given a clean bill of health, the finished sauce is pumped here to the bottling and packing area. Over 700,000 of these 57 millilitre glass bottles are filled on Avery Island every single day. Labels are printed in 22 different languages and dialects. And the finished boxes are shipped off to over 165 countries and territories all over the world.